if you live in North Carolina or if you know anybody else who does, please listen and please take action. This is really important. We have a chance to push back on attacks on democracy right now in a state legislature, and we can prevail if we all help. Basically, you will remember that although we lost at the top of the ticket in North Carolina this November, we did win a bunch of seats. Governor's race, we won the lieutenant governor's race, the superintendent of public education, and we flipped a critical seat in the state legislature, which means that going forward with the new legislative term, we will be able to block Republicans from overriding the Democratic governor's veto. This sounds in the weeds, but it's really important. Remember, Republicans have majorities in both chambers of the State House there. In the past, Roy Cooper could not veto them because they had the votes to override his veto. Starting next year, they will no longer have that. So they're trying to get a lot of bad stuff done while they still can override it. So they sneakily passed a 132-page bill that is purportedly about disaster relief, which is really cynical because while it is a little tiny bit about that, it is more about rewriting a bunch of laws in North Carolina to take away power from the governor and also the elections boards and also a bunch of other Democratic lawmakers. It is an attempt to undermine what the voters just decided. It is sneaky. Democrats were given no warning, and neither were voters. No one asked for this package. They basically concocted it as a last-minute measure to try to gain some of their gerrymandered power back before they lose it. Some of the changes that it makes, it transfers the appointment of state board of elections members from the Democratic governor to the right now Republican auditor. It messes with the Supreme Court. It strips power from the newly elected Democratic Attorney General, Jeff Jackson. It weakens the newly elected Democratic Superintendent of Public Instruction's power over charter schools, reduces the number of days that voters can cure ballots from 9 to 3, and more. Like literally 20 pages of this bill are about disaster relief. The whole rest is about a power grab, a sneaky power grab. It's gross. Here's where we stand. Again, Republicans snuck this in a special session very quickly with no notice and immediately passed it in both chambers of the State House because remember, they have those Republican majorities. Roy Cooper, Democrat, who is outgoing, remember, governor, vetoed it. So the Republicans came together again, and just yesterday, the Republican State Senate voted to override that veto. So now we are left with one more opportunity to kill this package, and that is when the Republican State House votes on the veto override. I hope you're following me. The good news is, however, that first of all, a lot of press and other coverage is happening about this because it's such an anti-democratic bill. And secondly, there were 3 Republicans who voted against it first go around, and if we can get them to vote against the veto override, it will fail. So if you click on that thing in my bio that takes you to this page, you will see a tab about North Carolina. Click on it, and you'll be given a couple of opportunities to take action. The first one is to contact your North Carolina House representative, State House, not U.S. House. If you live in North Carolina, it does not do any good for us to call from out of state, but there's a script and a place where you can look up that lawmaker. One lawmaker, one call, real easy. There are also the email addresses and phone numbers of 3 of the Republican House representatives who voted against this bill first time. It's really important that we contact them, thank them, and ask them to keep doing the right thing, and I've made it very easy for you to do so. Remember, voters in North Carolina just made their voices heard. They made very specific decisions about who they wanted in office. It is not for Republicans who have been gerrymandered into their seats to take that away from them. Let's let them know that, because if we have a lot less power on a federal level right now in the states, we can still do a lot. So let's do that. And tell a friend.